Diablo II Lord of Destruction is the official expansion pack to Diablo II, which was released by Blizzard exactly a year ago. It's the expansion pack to one of last year's most addicting games, and although most expansion packs are released at about the time the popularity of the original game is kind of dipping, it's pretty safe to say that Diablo II hasn't really lost any popularity since in the entire year that it's been available. A lot of people have been playing the game on Battle.net and enjoying it, leveling up their characters and so forth, and for these players, this new expansion is going to be really exciting because it introduces a lot of really interesting changes to the game, some of which are obvious right away and others that sort of become more apparent over time. The story in the Diablo II expansion focuses on Baal, the third of the Primevals, who seems like Diablo's sort of more conniving brother who somehow managed to escape your wrath in the original game and you know, now gets his own game to try to beat you up in. He is looking for something called the World Stone, with which he's going to sort of open the gates of hell and destroy your world and you know, get revenge on you and everyone else for what you did to Mephisto and Diablo. So he's the last of the three big bosses, and needless to say, you'll end up facing him at the end of the expansion pack, and needless to say, that fight won't be easy. The expansion pack introduces an entire new fifth act, in addition to the 4 original acts in Diablo II, and on top of that it introduces 2 all-new character classes, who are the Assassin and the Druid. Both of these are really interesting, actually. You might expect that you know, there's not much room for new characters in Diablo II. The original game had 5 different characters in it, and it seemed like Blizzard pretty much covered all their bases, because you had the Necromancer with his death magic, and Sorceress with elemental magic, and Paladin and Barbarian and Amazon. That's a pretty wide breadth of characters, and people have figured out a lot of different ways to play them all. But the Assassin and the Druid do manage to fit in to this other cast of characters very cleanly. They both look quite good, and they both themselves have a lot of different tactical options, and seem really powerful and yet very different from these other 5 classes. The Assassin has skill in martial arts, setting traps, and psionic attacks called shadow disciplines. Any of these seem really viable in combat. She can lay all kinds of traps that sort of autonomously will attack her enemies, and she can, you know, run away and stand clear of all carnage. She could use martial arts and drop multiple elemental attacks or life-draining attacks and that sort of thing, and create these incredibly damaging physical attacks that way. And the shadow disciplines let her do things like even take control over her enemies by mind controlling them. So she seems like a very well balanced and very powerful character. The Druid likewise is really no pushover. He's far from sort of the nature boy you might expect from druids as portrayed in other games. He's kind of this big tall guy clad in animal pelts. He doesn't seem to have any particular qualms about killing bad animals. He himself can turn into a werewolf form and also a werebear form, which makes him much quicker or much stronger, respectively. These are pretty interesting, and some players have decided to, you know, focus on one form or the other. On top of that, he can command a lot of elemental magics, which are different from the sorceress's spells, because these are like natural, more chaotic spells that cause volcanoes and fissures in the earth and big tornadoes and that sort of thing. It's hard to maybe target them as compared to the sorceress's stuff, but they tend to do a lot of damage when they actually hit something. He can also summon various nature spirits and various animals like wolves and grizzly bears and ravens and all kinds of stuff like that. So you can actually see some druids running around with this big entourage of woodland creatures going around with him and attacking things for him. So like the assassin, he's quite interesting and has a lot of different options. The other interesting new features introduced in the expansion are the newly enhanced hirelings, that these computer-controlled characters that you can employ in town.